Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to our Microsoft Q&A. So last year, Microsoft increased the prices of their cloud subscriptions in the commercial sector. Now, these price increases have affected some non-profit subscriptions to align with their commercial changes. Today, it's my role to provide as much information we currently have on the upcoming price changes and to answer any questions that you may have on this topic. My name is Joel Hogan. I'm the Programs Manager at Charity Digital. Amongst many things, CSP and Microsoft Cloud subscriptions is my specialty. I'll do my best to answer your queries as best as I can today. Alongside me today, I have some colleagues who I'll now pass over to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Alice Roche. I'm the Head of Operations at Charity Digital. I am 9 months in post, so I still feel like I'm learning new things all the time, and it's a new sector to me, but we identified a need for this webinar, so it's really great to see that there's loads of you on here. It seems like a very popular subject. I will pass over to my colleague James.
Afternoon, everyone. Sorry, just got one more to add. So I'm James, and I'm Charity Digital's e-commerce manager. Similar to Alice, so I've been with the charity around a year now. But yeah, Alice and I will be helping out today, just ensuring your questions get heard and that our session today runs as smoothly as possible. Back to you, Joel.
Thank you both. Now, as this is a Q&A, we invite you to ask your questions after the short presentation. Please feel free to use the raise hand feature on Zoom, come off mute and even show your face. I know some of you are doing that already. We'd love to know where you're all calling from as well. Sorry, calling from? What, what media are we using here? Videoing from? Who knows? You're also very welcome to simply post your questions in chat if you're more comfortable with that. And these will be picked up by my team and read out to me. And just before we kick off, we want to remind you that this webinar will be recorded. The recording, slides and supporting resources will be made available to you over the next coming days, so keep an eye on your inbox. For any questions about today's discussion, please pop them in the chat box and we'll answer as many as we can at the end of the presentation. Once the webinar ends, you will be prompted for feedback, so we'd love to hear your thoughts and how we can continue to help your organization and our organization too. So please take a few minutes to share your thoughts. It's really useful to us, so thanks for that in advance. Okay, so let's get going. So we're all here to hear about these price increases, so let's just keep it simple. So from the 1st of September, these are the current Microsoft Cloud subscriptions that are affected by a price increase. So Office 365 E1 paid, Office 365 E3, Office 365 E5, Microsoft 365 E3, and Microsoft 365 Business Premium paid. The reason I want to put the paid brackets aside of those is that I'm sure many people here are using free versions of those. I know Microsoft Business Premium does currently have free options available, whilst Office 365 had a free option which was retired over a year ago, but it's possible that many of you still have those licenses in place. So if you're using free ones, they're not affected by the price changes. So these are based on our prices and what the increase is going to. So with Office 365 E1, as you can see, it's going from £1.51 per user per month to £1.89. Office 365 E3, now we haven't received the pricing for that yet, I'm afraid. Very recently have we been trickled through the information about what the prices increases were going to be. At one point, I was afraid I was going to present to you all today with just percentage increases and not really any meat on the bone. So I'm glad at least something came through, but we will share that information about Office 365 E3 shortly. But based on the projections, we expect about a 28% increase on that. And it's about, so the standard price at the moment is either £4 per user per month if you've obtained that directly via Microsoft, or our price is £3.96 per user per month. So 28% increase expected to that. Yep, Office 365 E5 going from £12.30 to £13.30 a month. One of the probably the highest premium, or one of the highest premium licenses. So there isn't too many organizations that use that in the charity sector, but if you are one of those, we want to let you know about that. Microsoft 365 E3, yeah, popular license is going up by 90p per user per month. And the paid version of Microsoft 365 Business Premium, so anyone who's got perhaps more than the 10 free ones, that's increasing from our price of £3.78 to £4.11 per user per month. Okay. So some points to note. So the price increase will be on your monthly renewal date. So if your renewal monthly wise is say on the 21st of the month, your price increase will be from the 21st of September. For those of you who've selected annual payment, the way it works with our organization is that annual payment works as a credit system. So you've paid 12 months up front, and so that means that there is that credit is actually debited on a monthly basis. So it will still go up on the monthly anniversary of your subscription. Price protection will delay this price increase until your anniversary. So what that means is, if any of you have purchased a Microsoft Cloud subscription from us in the past 12 months, that subscription would have had price protection included in that. So that means that your price won't rise until the first year anniversary of your subscription. So if you purchased perhaps an Office 365 E1 license in the past month, that particular subscription's monthly premiums won't rise until 12 months later from that date there. And so, yeah, a point there just to check your monthly renewal date. If you're with us, you can check that with us, or just have or review your own finances as well. You can check when you first purchase a subscription with us as well. I mean, might be some of you here who've had subscriptions from us from a long time, so will be affected immediately from the subscription. And yeah, just another point for really is any questions, I'm sure many of you have contacted me before, is to contact me, and I'll be happy to sort of clarify anything on your accounts there. So yeah, just to keep it short and simple, really, that's all you want to know is the price increases, what they're going to be. I welcome your questions, on topic questions, please. What we've got coming through.
James, did you say we've got our first question already?
Yes, we do. So Joel, we have a question just around the difference between Office 365 and 365 Premium. So if you could just give us an overview of the differences between those two.
Oh, question. Let's have a look so I can read that one, actually, the difference. Sorry, can you read that again? Because I think the terminology there, I'm missing something.
So what is the difference between the Office 365 and 365 Business Premium?
Okay, so Office 365 is actually a group of products. So within Office 365, which is primarily towards enterprise licensing, which is why it uses the letter E for its subscriptions. So you've got Office 365, E1, E3, and E5. Office 365 Business Premium was a name that used to be used, which is now changed to Microsoft 365 Business Standard. It had a name change about almost 2 years ago now. So Office 365 is the group of products, but if you see the name Business Premium or E3 or E1 or something like that, that's one of the subscriptions within that group. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Joel. So we have another question from Simone, which says, we are looking at moving from Office 365 E2 license, free but out of date, to Microsoft 365 Business Premium shortly. If we were to do this before the increase happens and paid yearly, would that lock us in at the $378 price for the year?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Simone. Great question. And it's all nice to see that E2 licenses have been used. I mean, they've been, wow, it's great that you've still got that license in place. It's actually retired ever since, it was actually retired before I started the organization, which is like nearly 5 years ago now. Now, I know you can still use it, but the E2 license hasn't been able to be obtained for a long time now. So I always get a little bit of a nerdy excitedness before that one. But anyway, enough waffle there. So yes, if you were to purchase Microsoft Business Premium before 1st of September via ourselves, 378, then you'll price lock that So the price increase won't be until September the following year, or should I say, or if you were to purchase, say, tomorrow, then it won't be until August 2023. So any subscriptions purchased now will be price locked. What I would like to elaborate on, just to, if there are any of those who are unsure, so you have subscriptions and you have licenses or seats that can be used. So a subscription would be business premium, and then within that you would have your seats. So you could have, say, 10 licenses or 10 seats. Now, if you have an existing subscription but just add a seat to it, that doesn't adjust the subscription date or anything like that. That's just adding a seat. If you're adding an entirely new subscription, like between now before 1st September, then it'll be price locked. Hope my response was okay on that one.
Simone said that was really helpful. So I think that was good. So the next one, we will get to all of them, hopefully. Chris R asks, any change to Microsoft 365 standard pricing or any charge being introduced for basic?
Great question. I've been asked that one a few times already. So currently we haven't received any information about Microsoft 365 Business Standard having a price increase, which is great so far, as it's probably, I would say, probably the most popular, one of the most popular licensing options, particularly for charities from micro to medium size. It's a great option. So there is no plans that we've heard about increasing for that. What I will say long term is we all have our subscriptions, and we work alongside different organizations personally and professionally. I imagine one day, sometime in the future, but nothing new in the pipeline. And Business Basic, no, the only way you'd be charged for that currently is if you were to purchase it commercially. So at the moment, you can still, there's no changes to Business Basic, the non-profit version being charged at the moment, which is a bit of good news as well.
Fabulous. Joel, would you be able to just go back on the slideshow? We've had somebody ask to see your list. They said it was a really good summary. I think
Would it be the pricing one? Yeah. Hope that's useful.
Fab. We can always move it about, but just a reminder, we will be sending out the slideshow, the presentation, and the recording of the webinar as well. So the next one is that this person's had a message saying that they're not using everything. Some of the volunteers haven't been able to sign in. Also, we hope to have some new trustees, so need to keep possibilities of email addresses for them.
Good question. So this might be to do with Microsoft's usage requirement, which came into play around this time last year, actually. So what it is, it's to avoid Microsoft released a rule when it comes to granted licenses, previously known as donated or free licenses for the common tongue, where you have to use a certain percentage of your free licenses up, so they have to be assigned and in use frequently. It's to avoid stockpiling. You know, if you're from a charity where it's a one-person charity and you've just gone and acquired 300 Business Basic licenses, there's no need for you to have that many. So I'm not sure what your exact scenario is, but you want to ensure that any free licenses you have, you shouldn't stockpile on them. The percentage rule is you need to use, I believe it's 85% of the licenses need to be used up there. So I would say, I mean, you can play with that. What I always recommend to anyone who asks me about this question is just try and acquire the licenses as and when you need them, really, and then you can always add more as and when you wish. I mean, the great thing about 365 is its flexibility. You can require an odd number, like you can just add 1 or 3 like that. They're not obtained in blocks such as 5 and 10s, which you'd get in other organizations as well. Not sure about what's happened, why your volunteers haven't been able to sign in. It could be a number of reasons, might be to do directly with Microsoft. You want to ensure that their user accounts have been assigned a subscription, or that subscription they have been assigned is actually still active. We can always take that offline if we need to.
So the next question is, do we know when Microsoft will confirm the E3 price?
So I imagine this is for the Office 365 E3. So far, I mean, I wouldn't say they haven't told us an exact date, unfortunately. All I know is that we will know by September when it already increases, but we haven't received that direct information yet. We do hope to receive it before then, we really do, because it will be great for your plans wise. So I completely understand that, and I wish I could share more information on that, but we just don't have the exact details on that at the moment. So hopefully get something in before the 1st of September. Wish I knew more, honestly.
Yeah, we have been chasing it ourselves, and just so everyone's aware, we don't have a direct contact with Microsoft. I think people assume that we do. We go through another partner who then deals with Microsoft directly. So unfortunately, yeah, we've had to even push for these price increases, and we will communicate as soon as we hear anything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question, we're getting so many in, thanks guys. So this is from Joe Butler. Hi, are there any changes to the Microsoft Dynamics licensing, in particular Dynamics Sales Enterprise?
We haven't received any information about changes to the Microsoft Dynamics licensing at this stage. It's not actually a product that we resell currently at the moment, but I do know, I hope that you're taking advantage of, there's a donation for Microsoft Dynamics licensing at the moment. I think it's maybe 5 or 10 users. I'm not sure if it's quite the Sales Enterprise version that you're using, but there is a free version out there at the moment to be used by eligible staff members. But yeah, so far the only information we've received for price increases is particularly just for these subscriptions listed today.
Excellent. Ian Kerry has asked, the first 10 licenses on M365 Premium are free. Is that correct?
Hi Ian, nice to hear from you. I know we chat a lot. Yes, that is correct. The first 10 licenses for Microsoft 365 Business Premium are free to be used by eligible staff members. So that's paid staff or unpaid executive staff members, such as a director or a trustee.
Fab. So we've had another one come through. Will we continue to be able to flex up and down monthly the number of business prem licenses? Did you get that one, Joel? Or
Yeah,
I'm
just like, oh, having to think about it. Will we continue to flex up and down? Yes, yeah. I mean, one of the great things about 365 is its flexibility. So you should still be able to add and remove licenses as you wish. I'm not, obviously your reseller, whether it would, if it's outside of us, they might have their rules in terms of when you can do this. They might have their own sort of terminologies and things like that. But with ourselves, certainly with our subscriptions that we provide, you can at any time you can contact us by increasing or decrease the licenses. You can also do that yourself by accessing your TechSoup Cloud Manager portal, where you can add more subscriptions and adjust your licenses there as well. So yeah, flexibility should still be there.
Excellent. There was one that we've already spoken about, but Paul Cooper just wanted a bit of further explanation. So the 85% utilization rule for donated mailbox licenses, are you able to expand a little bit more on that, Joel?
Okay, sure. I'll do my best. So there's a rule with free licenses where you have to use 85% of the ones that you have obtained. So say you've requested 100 licenses for Business Basic, and you would need to assign them to at least 85 user accounts and ensure that they're used frequently, like, you know, you're emailing from them, you're saving documents in them. So that's to meet the 85% utilization rate. So if you're in a scenario where you've obtained 100 licenses and they've only been assigned to 20 people, you're going to want to reduce that license count down just so that you meet the 85% requirement. Failing to do this, we've been advised that, you know, there could be random audits and potentially loss of non-profit access. So do please stay on top of your usage requirement. I hope that explained things a little bit better, but please let me know.
Excellent. So the next one is, what would be the cheapest option to get desktop as well as online Office apps? We already have the 10 free premium licenses.
Okay, great question, Suzanne. Thank you. So you've already got the 10 in place, and they come with the downloadable Office apps already. So the cheapest way after those free ones to get downloadable Office apps would be to have your rest of your licenses on Microsoft 365 Business Standard, as that is probably the lowest grade. I don't like to use the term low, but it's the only thing that comes to my head right now. But Business Standard is the lowest grade where you have the ability to have downloadable apps there. The Microsoft price for that at the moment is £2.30 per user per month. Our price is £2.22 per user per month. So that's, yeah, that would be the cheapest way to get downloadable Office apps outside of the 10 business premium, the free one options.
Excellent. Thank you, Joel. Okay, we've had another come through from Richard, currently setting up AAD for a charity that provided learning opportunities for adults with learning disabilities. 2 questions. 1, want to include learners in IT environment. What is the most appropriate and cheap license, bearing in mind got 75 learners? Rather than throwing 2 questions at you at once, I'll let you think about that one first.
Okay, well, the first answer, I'm afraid. So one of the, I would encourage people to check the eligibility of Microsoft nonprofit licenses on the Microsoft nonprofit portal. One of the restrictions is that these licenses, whether they're any of these nonprofit licenses, must only be used by certain type of staff members. So anyone who isn't part of the organization in terms from a working standpoint, so they're not a staff member or a leader or anything like that, so are unable to use are not eligible, sorry, to use non-profit licenses. So learners, students, anything like that, they're not actually eligible to use the non-profit versions of licenses as per Microsoft's eligibility criteria. What I may suggest, obviously it's a big part of what you do. If you haven't done so already, you might want to double check 365 for education. That's more leaned towards those who have learners. As you say, I don't have information about the prices, I'm afraid. I'm sort of specialized in the non-profit side of things, but you might just want to double check that 365 for learning. Just give that a Google or something and you'll find their page on that and see if there's some good offers or discounts to cover your learners there.
And then the other question was, as global admin, is there any mileage in upgrading the global admin license from Microsoft 365 Business Premium to Office 365 E5?
It really depends on what you're looking to do, really. I mean, many organizations, you can have global admin on a username which is unlicensed if it's purely from a perspective where you're assigning licenses and cancelling licenses and creating users. I mean, see, business 365 E5 is like high grade license there. You're getting all extra security features there. You have with E3 and E5 above, you have a feature called the Data Protection Center. Now, I don't know your background, but actually you mentioned there with learners, I imagine that you might be handling some sort of sensitive data, and it's recommended that any type of organization that handles sensitive data should really look at sort of E3 licenses and above due to the data protection features that are included. The reason why I suggest that is obviously GDPR. It's a big subject, which is probably everyone's been bored of speaking about the past few years now. But because Microsoft is very Americanized, should we say, not all of the subscription types are designed with GDPR in mind because it's a European law. So the way that they've looked at that is that there are certain license types which GDPR is sort of thought about with like this data protection center and other types of encryption as well, which is from E3 and E5 above there. So I might have gone off a tangent a bit that one, I'm sorry, but it really depends on what you're looking to do with that global admin account, whether you need to upgrade to E5 or not there. But just definitely refer back to my first answer though regarding 365 for education. I think it might be the possible route for you to take to cover all your learners.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joel. Do you need a water break? I feel like I'm throwing a lot at you.
No, it's all right. Dry as a Sahara in my mouth. I'll go down a glass of water at the end. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Excellent. I wish we could help you out, but Joel really is the expert. So James has asked for a little bit of clarity on whether it is a not-for-profit price list, because he was under the impression that charities got 130 E1 for free.
Yeah, it's a good question there, James. So this is the non-profit price list. These are the pricings for that. So I'll try and simplify as the best I can. So about a year ago, there was an E1 free license, which was up to 300 users. On the side of that, there was a paid version for non-profits called E1 Volunteer. And because E1 was a free license, volunteers can't use free licenses. It's in the eligibility criteria. What Microsoft did a year ago was that they retired the free version of E1. People who've already acquired it, it's still in place for them. It's kind of like our person who had E2 licenses earlier. They'll stay in place for a certain amount of time. They may be retired from your platform eventually. And then what happened was the E1 Volunteer had a name change and just became E1, and it's the non-profit version, which is the pricing at the top there. So yeah, a little bit of a complicated answer, I know. I hope that makes a little sense, but I can confirm these are the non-profit pricings.
Thank you, Joel. So we've had one from Paula that says, I have 4 licenses for premium billed through Microsoft at $380 per month and 1 premium license for free. I also have 5 business basic for free. Is it only the paid for licenses that I will be billed for?
The answer is yes, correct. You are right. So the price increase only affects licenses that are currently being paid for. So free licenses, they don't suddenly change.
Excellent. Are there any issues in having a mixture of free premium licenses and business standard paid? That's from Harriet.
Oh, nice to hear from you, Harriet. I haven't spoken to her in a while. Yeah, there's absolutely no issue with that at all. And I actually encourage it as well. I know the world of 365 subscriptions can get a bit confusing with all these E's and all these different names. I mean, I think there's nearly 24 different subscriptions out there, but I definitely implore you to mix and match subscriptions to meet your needs. So you can have a mix of some of the free ones for eligible staff members, a mix of perhaps a simpler license such as E1 if you've got volunteers in who just need to do emails and don't need any like storage space or anything like that. And say you might have someone in your organization who handles the sensitive information that you might want to get them like an E3 license or something above. So I actually employ definitely mix and match if it suits your needs for sure.
Excellent. I love how you know so many of the people on the call, Joel. You're like famous.
Hopefully for good reasons.
So we've got one from Hillary Wainwright. I have a question about the free licenses. One charity I'm in has 10 free business premiums, which it only just gears up to using properly, it's only just gearing up to use properly now. We have younger members stepping up. What are the chances that we might be charged in the future, do you think?
Good question. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to look at some previous evidence. So a price change doesn't tend to come out of nowhere. Like, so that subscription you've got now, it won't suddenly switch on automatically to a paid version. What has happened to some free offers in the past, which then Microsoft wanted to start charging people, is that they retire the license. So they'll give you, there was an offer for a subscription called Enterprise Mobility and Security many years ago, where I think they're handing out 50 for free. And that's been long retired now. But up to that period, instead of anyone who's on that offer suddenly being charged out of nowhere, they were advised these are being retired. If you want to continue, you need to purchase these licenses. So it's almost like a different product SKU. If you'd be charged in the future, probably not for that particular subscription, but if there were changes where Microsoft want to change their strategy, you would be warned, like saying these licenses are being retired. Hopefully you get the E2 treatment. Those seem to have been, they've been retired forever and they're still around being used by people. I think they might be finally being retired sooner. People can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think after nearly 5 years since they've been retired, they're finally only just coming to retirement stage now. So you should be provided ample warning if there are any changes to any of the free subscriptions that you have.
Excellent. Thank you, Joel. So the next one, for organisations still on E2, with the changes and possible problems going forward with Office 2016, 2019, what would you recommend? Move to Office 2021 or change to Office 365 E3 for desktop apps?
Yeah, great question. It really depends on how the structure of your organization or charity is. Most of the time, people are going to suggest moving to the cloud because it is the future. You know, it's far more collaborative, has some great freedom to it in terms of its flexibility as well. But something like Office 2021, it could be useful for your organization. Say, if you have a specified office with devices on where people are sharing the devices, there is that side of thing. So if they don't need the ability to work from home, and it's just somebody who say comes in a couple of times a week, and that same device is used by another person a couple of times a week, then maybe a scenario Office 2021 is good for that. Microsoft used the term computer labs. So if you've community centers, for example, who have people coming in using like Office as one-off, things like that, could be used for that way. One thing I would say of Office 2021 now, I'm sure some people here have used our services for a while, that our on-premise licenses changed drastically in price earlier this year. Our donation program had some huge changes where Office licenses, we can still, Office desktop licenses like 2021, we can still provide at a discount, but it's not the same as before. Like I think what the lowest cost license now with a discount is £113 just for one. And when you balance that out compared to a subscription, if you look at E3, it's currently £4 per user per month. So you're looking at, I know it's about to go up by about 20%. So let's just, not sure what the price would be, but currently you'd be paying £48 per user, per year for that one. So in the past, I can totally see why people remained on desktop licenses, because they last for the life of the device that they're installed on. It's not a subscription model, it's just a one-off payment. You've got that license until your device has had it. But now with all the recent changes and strategy changes with Microsoft, it's slowly becoming more cost effective to go to the cloud. But ultimately, each is its own. There's my sitting on the fence answer right there.
Very diplomatic. I am bumping up a question as it's been requested to be answered next. So Office 365 and Microsoft 365 are being used interchangeably, but they are two very different products. Please, can you elaborate on the differences?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a question I get asked a lot, actually. I don't always have the best answer. In the best way that I can determine the main difference, but then I'll second guess myself in a minute. But the first thing I noticed was Office 365 seems to be more enterprise level. That's why it's got the E above. So it's got, even if it's lowest license there, like the E1, it will have some extra protection features that say the one of the lowest licenses of Microsoft 365, which is Business Basic, doesn't have. Now, as I said, second guess myself, within Microsoft 365, there is E3 and E5 in that. The way that came about is Microsoft 365 like E3, it comes with a couple of extra features that Office 365 E3 wouldn't have. So Microsoft 365 E3 would have the same Office features as Office 365 E3. Good, right tongue twisters here. But it also includes a web, like downloadable Windows 10 deployment or Windows 11 deployment. And it also comes with an extra it also comes with a subscription called Enterprise Mobility and Security, which is also available as a separate subscription as well. That's the best I can do on that answer to, I am afraid, but the way I look at it, like I said, Office 365 E3 level, Microsoft 365, it's got a lot more to it. I wouldn't be surprised one day if they completely maybe retire one option and just try and keep the branding as one. I mean, I personally think that having both Microsoft 365 and Office 365 is confusing, having two different brand names. I think there's even a Windows 365, which I haven't even dared dive into, but that's another type of name. It would be nice to have everything as one name. Maybe it'll just be 365 one day, who knows. I wish my answer was better than that, and I do apologize, but I hope it was a little bit useful.
Hopefully some of the resources that we send out afterwards as well will help some of the answers to these questions, but thank you for continuing to send them in. They're really great. So the next one is from somebody called Richard, and he has asked, are there any details on price increases on any of the other Microsoft non-profit add-ons?
Yeah, there is some information. There are some other add-ons coming on down the line. We haven't got the full details of those yet, but it's mostly to do with some Teams add-ons, not Microsoft Teams itself, but there, you know, you can get some extra features at Teams. I'm not sure, I don't know if it's a webinar option or something like that, but there's a couple of extras like that. It's nothing like Windows. I haven't seen anything like Windows Defender or anything like that on the list, but we will certainly share that out as soon as we have the information on that. Primarily today, we wanted to get the main gist, which was the obviously the subscriptions listed in front of you there today. But there's a couple of add-ons out there, which, in fact, when I checked them, I don't think we've had too many. We haven't really had too many discussions about them, so they're quite equally as important. But we just don't have the information about that yet. So apologies.
Thank you, Joel. The next one is Office E3 currently $350 for not-for-profits? I guess that
no.
can help with the knowing what the 28% increase will be.
Yeah, it's linked to that. So at the moment, the Microsoft price is £4 per user per month, excluding the VAT. Our price, because we can provide little discounts on some of our subscriptions, we provide it at £3.96 per user per month. So that's going to go up. Like I said, we predict around 28% from September on that one.
Fabulous. So the next one from David Adams, what are the benefits of provisioning Microsoft licenses through Charity Digital as opposed from registering as a non-profit directly with Microsoft?
Great question. Love this
one.
Great
question.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of things. Number one, as I just said, that we do provide a little bit of a further discount on some subscriptions as well. It is minimal, but I say in this sector, every little helps. We provide lots of different subscriptions, which may provide not always the huge discount, but you know, the way Globe is at the moment, every little bit helps, particularly in the charity sector as well. So we do provide some discounts on some things. On the side of that, we can also be your first port of call as well. So rather than raising a service request with Microsoft via your portal, where you can get, you know, they get there eventually, but you can be bounced from pillar to post sometimes before you actually get the real answer. So you can come to us for any initial queries. Sometimes, say if you came to me and I wouldn't understand the issue straight away, then I would eventually refer you to using that option. But if you were to take it up via us, you can contact us and we can help out with anything that way. We can provide a service in terms of if you're to email in and just simply ask, can you increase my licenses? We're very quick at that. You can do that yourself, self-serve, but a lot of these things that we do offer could be really easy for some people, but could be quite a challenge for some others. I mean, one of the reasons that Charity Digital exists is because in the charity sector itself, many people do struggle with the technology. We want to help make your job easy in actually just achieving your mission as charities, rather than just having to worry about all these IT problems all the time. So it's these little things like that, which just maybe easier, comes like second nature to you, would actually be a big deal to some others as well. So that's the main thing. So a little bit of a price discount there, and just a little bit of a personal service, an extra option to ask questions rather than going straight to the man at Microsoft and being bounced to sometimes pillar to post. Hope that answers your question on that.
Yes, you were being humble, Joel, but essentially with Charity Digital, you get yourself a Joel, and with Microsoft, you're not going to get through to a human anywhere near as quickly. And we're not a huge team here at Charity Digital. The whole company's 20 people. So yeah, we're a smaller organization and we're here to support you. Simone, again, we have another one following on from my earlier question about locking in the Microsoft 365 business premium price before the price increases. If we were to do this through our IT support company who have a partnership with Microsoft rather than through Charity Digital, and then we wanted to change our IT support company, would that cause issues with our licensing? We have always used Charity Digital before, but our IT support provider is suggesting that we go via them.
Yeah, thank you for your honest question on that. Actually, it does happen to us where we try and provide yourselves directly with the licenses, and then the IT company can take over and bring their own licenses in-house. They don't. I mean, I've worked alongside many other IT companies who don't need to do that. And we've developed relationships where we simply provide the discounted licenses, don't do anything else, no admin, and then they do the admin side, which is what you pay them for. I have come across issues where it does happen quite often to me, where for some reason or not the relationship with the IT partner hasn't worked, and having access to their licenses can be continue getting access to your licenses can be difficult because it's the IT company who's managing them. You often find many different challenges, such as there can be time issues as well, where you're asking them to remove themselves. There could be payment issues as well. So it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do with that ultimately. I always felt that because the way we provide licenses ourselves is just quite neutral. We put here are your licenses. They're in your portal. Now they're up to you to assign and look after. And then it's up to you then whether you want the IT company to take them over or not. Yeah, again, a diplomatic answer is completely up to you if you want to go that way with them. But yeah, just remember, like I said, we provide a little bit of a further discount, and you can use this as another port of call. And you could probably change IT providers as and when you wish, however your relationships go, and you can still have your licenses with us, and we won't need to get involved in that side of things.
Thank you, Simone. That is good news. Simone has just said, thank you, Joel. You've just confirmed what I was thinking, and we will definitely buy through Charity Digital.
Oh, arrow through the heart. Oh, I'm in love.
Excellent. So the next question is, how much is the difference in cost between Microsoft F3 and Office 365 E1?
Oh, how much difference in the cost? Well, without looking at the prices straight away, it's definitely a few pounds. I mean, Office 365 E1, like I said, I'm only going by current pricing right now. It's about £4. Microsoft F3, I think it's around, I think it's just under £1.50, I think, but you get no way near as many features with F3 as you do with E1. Oh, sorry. Do you know what? I've just got it wrong, sir. I just read that as Office 365 E1, not E3. Do apologize. Let me do that again. So the answer is not much difference in cost, actually, because E1's 151 going up to 189. F3 is going to remain the same, and I think it's just below 150 at the moment. But we can take that offline, and I can provide you our actual price list for that one. That's no problem.
Excellent. There was also a comment in the chat saying, you know, we sometimes have issues accessing our Charity Digital account. Can we arrange a call with a Charity Digital representative? So, Joel, if you move along the slide to the end where you had put the email address, just because people might be dropping off now. As I said, we've got a couple of questions left, but just to make it clear, we do want people to get in touch with us if you're having any issues with licensing. This is the email address to contact, and you can ask for Joel. Like I said, we're a small team, so Joel will just assign that email to himself, and we can definitely set up some individual calls as well. It'd be really good to touch base with some of you guys and learn how you're using the products. So we'll just leave that on the screen for now. And then I think, yeah, we've got time for a couple of more. So one from Richard again. So follow up. Thank you for that. Microsoft 365 Business Premium comes with Windows Defender for Business. Would that be sufficient from a cybersecurity slant from a GDPR perspective? If so, I would in effect lose my 10 free Microsoft 365 Business Premium license if I convert to Office 365 E3.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I've spoken to my IT person about that one, who's a big fan of Windows Defender. As this comes down to opinion, the security by Microsoft is great, but we would recommend that you don't have that as your sole protection. So I'm sure many of you probably have outside sort of protection as well, like you could be using Norton or Avast or someone like that as well. I would say, and when it comes from a GDPR perspective, there's only so much Microsoft can do from a technical standpoint before really it comes back to yourselves as an organization to make sure that your GDPR standards are being met, which I'm sure they are. We've all had a lot of practice with GDPR in the past, goodness, is it 3-4 years, something like that, maybe longer than that. So those are tools to help build your GDPR processes and make sure that they're correct in place. There are many organizations I work with who large organizations who just will have GDPR, sort of strict GDPR guidelines they adhere to, but their Microsoft cloud subscriptions are some of the simpler ones. So they're not all on E3 or E5. There would be on other types of licenses like business standard, even though they don't come with a GDPR sort of dedicated feature, it's that organization has got that place in themselves via other methods. Not sure it fully answers your question, but hopefully you can take something away from that.
Fabulous. And then we have one from James again. Is there any change in the enterprise mobility and security E3 license cost?
Yeah, great question. Really popular license, and the answer is no, nothing is. We've received no update regarding the change for EMS, enterprise mobility and security licenses at the moment.
I think we don't have any more questions. And we are now on 10 to 2. So I would say let's just open up the floor if anyone's got anything to add. As I said, you can email us separately and we can set up some Teams calls. But thank you, Joel. It's been really useful, and there's been loads of comments in the chat. Thank you so much. That was really helpful. Loads of people saying you really know your stuff. Agreed. you do. It's like a different language with all the acronyms and the numbers, isn't it? It's just like if anyone could hear us talking, they wouldn't have a clue what we were talking about.
Absolutely, yeah, I fully agree. That's how I feel in a marketing meeting.
So yeah, somebody said thank you. Jana Bond has said thank you for the information on the free licenses that we have at the moment. At our church, several more mature members of our church team are extremely reluctant to use their accounts. We've had them for a good number of years, so it's good that if we lose them, then we can apply for more. Yes, definitely. Excellent presentation from John Hunter. Thank you for joining us, John. Loads of people saying thank you. Well, it's been such a good turnout as well, hasn't it?
Really has, yeah. I'd just like to say thank you for everyone for taking your time out, your busy days, just to come and join along and interact with us. It's been really great.
I think something that would be really nice is if we circulate the questions that were asked with answers to them. So if when we're sharing the deck afterwards in the recording of the webinar, we could also send a document round with all of the questions you guys asked and Joel's answers. And lots of people saying they'll be in touch. We look forward to hearing from you, Tim.
And just have one final one.
Have we got one more?
Yeah. So
yes.
Tim,
oh yeah.
do you want to go for it?
Yes, we are accessing our users and licenses through Microsoft 365 Admin Center. What is the difference between Microsoft Business Premium and Non-Profit Portal? Some of the functionalities were lost when we assigned Non-Profit Portal, e.g. we couldn't run Word and Excel.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this one. Okay, so when you first apply for Microsoft 365 validation, when you create your account, you get, whilst you're waiting to be validated, you get these licenses. I think it's about 25 saying non-profit portal. So essentially they're trials. To this day, I still haven't worked out what they actually do. It's just, I think it allows the user to navigate the 365 admin portal, you know, whilst you're being validated, which sometimes can be quick, sometimes it can take a few weeks. But essentially, now that you've validated, you've actually got subscriptions, there's absolutely no need for the non-profit ones at all. Oh, we've got a hand there, David.
Just a quick one on that non-profit portal. That is literally just allows you onto the non-profit portal, but the non-profit portal is just an information portal about what you get from, you know, Microsoft non-profit. It gives you links to every other information. It is not a license that you use for Word or whatever. If you want to access that, it's just admin.microsoft.com.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you agree there as well, David, that you've got a non-profit portal website as well, which you can use to find the information, apply for registration, but also, as you said, yeah, it's more informational. It doesn't really have much use to it. So now you've got actual licenses. Just forget about the non-profit licenses that exist within your 365 admin portal and get assigning the actual 365 subscriptions that you've got in there. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, David, for jumping in. Excellent. Well, I think a few people have said that would be really good if we shared the answers. So like an FAQ from this webinar today. This is, the first of our kind. We haven't actually ever done a focus group or a Q&A like this, but it was something I was keen to do so that we could be a bit more face-to-face with you guys, and you can put faces to our names. And obviously some of you interact with Joel loads, so it's really nice for you to kind of be in touch with him, and we're definitely looking to run more of these kinds of webinars. So thank you so much, all of you, for your time, and we will be in touch with all of the resources. And thank you, Joel, you've been a superhero.
Yeah.
Go and have some water now.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers, David. Love it. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your support and everything. I love speaking to you every day when I can and as much as I can, and hopefully develop better relationships together and hopefully more successful videos like this, I hope.
Definitely. Thanks, everyone. Go and enjoy your lunch.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.